Human beings keep reaching for hidden levers when life hurts. Call those levers curses, shortcuts, revenge fantasies, secret knowledge, or the dark. The label changes with culture, but the move is the same. We want an outside force to fix what our character and our work have not yet fixed. That impulse is old, understandable, and dangerous because any lever that bypasses responsibility eventually charges interest. Traditional wisdom across societies warned against meddling with darkness for a reason.
The lunar vehicle
Our grandparents were not bored moralists. They were field engineers of human nature. They watched resentments turn into feuds, lust into ruin, laziness into poverty, and pride into loneliness. They wrapped those observations in stories about demons, witchcraft, or bad omens, because stories travel across generations better than lectures.
A slow tilt reveal.
Even if you strip away every supernatural claim,
nice to have.
the warning still
Boxes
stands.
already crowding the
When you
eye.
practice harm,
Macro-
harm becomes your practice. Modern language gives the same lesson in different clothes. Neuroscience calls it reinforcement. Psychology calls it conditioning. Ethics calls it corruption. Spaceflight calls it mission drift. Take any system, brain, family, crew, nation, and feed it a steady diet of covert retaliation or magical thinking, and the system will bend in that direction. It becomes the easiest path, then the only path. That is how people wake up years later in a life they don't respect.
Intentions
Space
must
is
be
a brutally
spelled out
honest
like
teacher here.
maneuvers, not
The public
left
sees
as
flame
vague
and glory.
impulses.
The professionals see mass budgets, delta V, and maintenance. Every kilogram you add to a lunar mission becomes fuel you must lift, cool, store, and push again later. Every unnecessary tool becomes a liability 6 months downrange when a valve sticks and you don't have a spare.
Each one feeding data to a console,
The universe does
echoing
not
how
negotiate
character
with
is
your
built
feelings.
and measured
It
under
replies
controlled
only
pressure
to what you
long
bring,
before
what
catastrophic
you can
failure.
sustain, and what you can repair when it breaks. Shortcuts feel like free delta V. You're tired, angry, humiliated, or lonely, and a story whispers that there's a back door through the rules. Maybe you can win affection without becoming lovable. Maybe you can punish a bully without risking courage. Maybe you can bend fate without paying the maintenance bill. In the moment, it feels like grabbing a tow line from a passing ship. In reality, you're tying yourself to debris. The teenager gets mocked at school, swallows the shame, and goes hunting for a way to strike back without a fair fight. He is not uniquely evil. He is raw and afraid of being nobody. Fear of other people's opinions can make any kid bargain with what he thinks is power. Another person wakes up and reaches for a phone before even sitting up, and 40 minutes vanish into scrolling. Digital noise doesn't feel like sin. It feels like relief. But every swipe rehearses distraction, and attention is the steering wheel of your day. A third person keeps answering calls from an old friend who only drains him, stirs bitterness, and borrows calm without paying it back. He calls it loyalty, but it is a slow leak. These scenes look different on the surface, but they are one mechanism. A hungry self tries to dodge the slow work of becoming steady. The slow work is real. Character is a slow propellant. That is why myths of instant power stay attractive. But in any honest system, there is no free fuel. Every burn has a vector and a cost. Secret burns show up in the numbers. When you feel tempted to use darkness, whether literal occultism or the everyday version like spite, manipulation, or escapism, treat it as a warning light on a console. It is telling you your systems are under-maintained. You don't fix a mission by shouting at the gauge. You stabilize first. You verify attitude. You consult the map. Then you burn only when the vector is right. Start by naming the urge precisely. I want them to pay. I want to be wanted. I want the world to admit I was right.
As the debris
Vagueness
orbit
feeds
decays from
fantasy.
atmospheric drag,
Precision
a
feeds
shard impacts
responsibility.
a solar panel.
Then ask what
demonstrates
system
the
failure
cost.
is underneath. Are you exhausted? Are you lonely? Are you not training your body, your craft, your faith? Most mystical temptations are a depleted organism demanding maintenance. In long-duration spaceflight, the romance dies quickly and the checklist starts. Professionals don't ask, do I feel like redirecting power to life support? They do it because the sensor says so. In life,
The
you need the
propellant
same
depot
procedural
hub
humility.
transforms cislunar
Sleep
space,
is life support.
demonstrating that a
Training
dense
is life
network
support. Honest companionship is life support. If any of those are failing, fix them before you interpret your misery as a sign that the universe owes you a shortcut. Another traditional truth: virtue is not a mood, it is a craft. Craftsmen don't wait for inspiration to square a joint. They measure, cut, sand, and check again. Your soul is timber. Your habits are tools. Your words are nails. If you want a decent house, you don't let termites move in because they promise quick repairs. That craft includes admitting limits. A crew on the moon does not pretend radiation isn't there. They bury habitats under regolith, run dosimeters, and accept that EVA time is rationed. You don't pretend temptation isn't there either. You build shielding, distance from people who bait your worst self, avoidance of the late-night scrolling loop, refusal to rehearse revenge in your head like a favorite song. Shielding is boring, but it is how people live long enough to do meaningful work. People sometimes object that life is unfair, so they need a hidden weapon. Life is unfair. That's not a surprise, it's weather. But hidden weapons do not restore justice. They poison the one holding them. Covert retaliation might win you a moment, but it trains the heart into a shape that cannot hold joy. It makes you suspicious of kindness, addicted to control, and incapable of trust. You can't build a marriage, a team, or a legacy on that foundation. You'll be left with victories you can't enjoy. The old teacher said, "The devil collects." Modern systems say, "Your nervous system collects." Either way, a bill arrives. It comes as cynicism, numbness, or the sudden inability to believe anyone loves you for real. You don't want that bill. Pay up front with humility instead. If you have already slipped, don't spiral into shame. Shame is another dark shortcut because it feels like repentance without requiring repair. Real repair is concrete. Confess to someone solid, apologize where you harmed, make restitution where you can, and reset your heading. Course corrections are normal. Refusing them is what crashes missions. Build life like a depot, not a stunt. Apollo got men to the moon by a chain of supplies, procedures, training hours, and engineering
Steady
margins,
patterns,
not by a
isolated
single heroic
heroics
mood.
or catastrophes.
Artemis
Define
and
the
commercial
real
systems
strength
are
of
trying
the
to stay
system.
longer by doing the same thing with new hardware. Pre-positioning power, water, spare parts, comms redundancy, and landing cadence. A human life is longer than a mission, but it obeys the
data
same
confirms the
logistics.
material's resilience
You don't
under the moon
arrive at
heat cycle.
integrity in one speech.
It is tempered,
You stack
not
small
broken.
virtues until they become normal thrust. Attention is one of those supplies. If you let apps and rage merchants rent your attention every morning, your day will drift like a vehicle with a stuck thruster. The fix is mundane and strong. Set a time to check screens, keep the phone out of reach when you wake, and protect the first hour for prayer, planning, or quiet work. It sounds minor. In orbit, minor course errors accumulate into existential ones. Relationships are supplies too. A draining tie is like a leaking prop tank. It doesn't explode in week 1. It quietly empties your reserves until you have nothing left for your real mission. Setting a boundary is not cruelty. It is maintenance. If you are building a future, family, craft, business, faith, you need predictable supplies. You cannot supply someone else's chaos and your own mission at the same time. So what does the clean path look like when you're hurt? There are only a handful of honorable moves. You can confront, you can forgive, you can leave. You can improve yourself until that territory no longer contains you. All 4 take time, humility, and risk. That is why the 5th move,
In the
secret
service bay,
retaliation,
precision
looks
is
so
paramount.
clever.
As the
But
work
cleverness
order
without
confirms,
courage is a
every-
trap. It gives you a false sense of control while narrowing your soul. Courage is not shouting. Courage is doing the next right thing when you want to do a dark thing. It's walking away from the gossip circle. It's lifting weights when you'd rather scroll. It's telling the truth to your wife or your friend even when it makes you look small. It's letting a wound heal without scratching it for entertainment. Over time, these boring acts create predictable thrust. The men and women who stay steady don't look impressive in a viral clip, but they land missions, raise families, and die with clean hands. Their power is quiet because it is real. Try a simple experiment that requires no superstition. For 7 days, Notice every moment your mind reaches for a shadowy shortcut, a cruel joke meant to sting, a fantasy of punishment, a compulsive scroll, a manipulative move to get affection without earning trust. Each time, choose the plain alternative. The plain alternative will feel slow and unsatisfying at first. That's how you know it isn't a spell. By day 2, you will fail. By day 3, you will notice faster. By day 5, you will feel quieter.
Returning to the propellant
By day
depot
7,
hub,
you will know
we
you are
see a
not
repeating
helpless.
cycle.
That knowledge
Arrive,
dissolves
refuel,
desperation.
depart, return.
And desperation is the true doorway to darkness, whatever form you think darkness takes. The world is complex, and suffering will visit you whether you are good or not. Traditional courage is to let suffering refine you, not deform you. You don't need drama to be strong. You need cadence, wake, work, train, rest, love your people, keep your word. Repeat. This is how you stay in a good orbit. Here is the challenge that matters. For the next 7 days, refuse every shortcut that makes you smaller and replace it with one honest act. Count them, write them down. At the end of the week, look at the record and ask who you are becoming. If it doesn't make the next week lighter, discard it. If it does, keep going. The universe is tough, but it is fair in the slow way that builds real men. Bet your life on that fairness, and you won't need any dark levers at all. One more thing about fairness. It is not the fairness of comfort, it is the fairness of cause and effect. You can live on borrowed momentum for a while, just like a spacecraft can coast after a burn, but coasting runs out.
The system operates
When it
without
does, the
drama,
habits you built decide
suggesting
your
that the whole
trajectory.
pattern is the proof of each component's
If you built
quiet
resentment,
strength.
you will aim for collisions. If you built discipline, you will aim for rendezvous. If you built faith, you will aim for service. None of that removes pain, but it gives pain a direction. When you watch people who fell into dark shortcuts, their stories are rarely about one dramatic choice. They are about
The burn was
thousands of
modest,
tiny
yet
permissions.
decisive.
Just this
Single,
once.
clean maneuver at the right
I deserve
time
it.
significantly reduced
Nobody
the
will
risk
know.
and increased our margin
I'm
for
different.
success.
Those
Power
permissions
is
are the
less
real
about
ritual.
spikes and more
Refuse
about a
them early and you
reliable
never need a
loop that can
rescue
be
operation
trusted
later.
Day after day.
Bring this back to your work. Do your job to standard even when no one is praising you. Treat your body like equipment you must keep operational. Speak to your parents with respect
Circling
because
Earth and
roots
Moon
keep a
on
man
sustainable
upright in
path,
storms.
These craft are quietly
Keep your
effective,
promises
proving
frequent
their worth
so your
without
word
needing
becomes
constant-
trustworthy. In time, you won't need to prove strength. Your life will show it quietly.